So there you heard what the president said about security, Boko Haram survival. Well, there was some unfortunate scenario which plays out or played out over time in Maiduguri. So we'll be going over to Abuja now to get some perspectives, but again with a view to getting a solution to all this. Don't forget, the president was asking, he wonders how Boko Haram survived. Perhaps that may also pop up now. Marpa?
Thank you, Chamberlain. We have with us in the studios this morning Honorable Amadu Jaha, who is a member of the House Committee on the Army. He also represents Chibok, Goza, and Damboa constituencies in Borno State. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Maupe.
Well, we saw you on the floor of the House of Representatives yesterday talking about the situation in Borno, how the army, beg your pardon, how Boko Haram terrorists attacked the people of Auno, and that there was information before that particular attack. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, I was coincidentally happened to be in Maiduguri to attend the wedding of my younger sisters and brothers on Saturday. So I went there on Friday, and this thing happened on Sunday in the night, or maybe Monday in the morning, as the case may be. So on Monday in the morning, I went to Auno, and I saw it myself. It was so devastating. Devastating in the sense that, to the best of my knowledge, I have seen dead bodies, and from the feelers I had, because I was privileged to have a dyadic encounter with one of the villagers who was more or less an eyewitness. He told me that more than 30 people were killed, and 2 buses, and they call it Homer buses, and 1 Sharon bus full of people were taken to the bush. And I visibly saw...
So people were also kidnapped?
People were kidnapped, according to the villager. I was not there when the attack took place, but the villager told me that they went away with some people.
You gave a very chilling description of a mother and her child who were separated and how the infant was eventually murdered. It was very, very chilling to listen to that on the floor of the House.
Yes.
But yesterday we saw the president visit Maiduguri to talk about, to condole with the people, and also to, you know, he seems to be in a state of, I don't know, should I say shock now, that this has continued for so long. You also see that he says that it is not possible that this could go on without the knowledge of leaders in that particular area.
You know, what the president was trying to tell the whole world is that security is not a one-man's business. Everybody must be involved, particularly the traditional rulers, the community leaders, opinion leaders, to mention but a few. They should be part of the security. In other words, security operatives in the country alone may not, at whatever level of influence, succeed in defeating Boko Haram without the cooperation of the community. That was my understanding of the president.
Yes.
Yes.
But if you read it, if one reads the president's statement together with yours that you made on the floor, saying that hours before that particular attack,
yes,
there was information to the military.
Yes.
And that they didn't see a lot of action.
Yes.
That you said something about them being in a village before before Auno was actually attacked.
Yes.
And that word had been sent to the military.
Yes.
Why do you think that there was a failure of response as a result of that?
On a serious note, I had the privilege of discussing with one of the security officers in Borno, whom identity I don't want to disclose here. He told me categorically that they have been communicating and they have been informing all military outfits that these guys are somewhere and they are planning to go somewhere to come and attack people in Auno. 3 hours or 4 hours preceding the time of that particular attack, but nothing was done. So from all indication and from my understanding is like there is an underrating or maybe lack of proper utilization of information gathering, information system or intelligence gathering, particularly among the security outfits operating there in Borno. But to the best of my knowledge, if at all you will be informed 2 or 3 hours before the attack, you have every reason to be there in less than 2 hours to repel them or to wait for their arrival or to block them before they even come to the community. Because the operation theater of Northeast, if I can put it this way, the gap or the distance between the operation theater to Auno community is less than 30 kilometers. And even if you are going to trek in less than 2 hours, you will be there. But you will be using maybe motorcycles, or maybe you will be using trucks, you will be using gun trucks, you will be using some army equipments to reach there. So as far as I'm concerned, if at all you can get information 3 hours or 4 hours preceding the time of the attack, you should be in Auno to at least save this innocent individual who lost their life for nothing's sake. Actually, I don't know even how to start it. I went to Maiduguri to celebrate wedding, but my celebration was later on changed by the time I saw that pathetic situation.
I'm just wondering, now the House of Representatives said they want to investigate the Army super camps. Can you tell us what those super camps are and why the House of Representatives is interested in it?
If you observe critically, I was the one that made an amendment to that particular motion, that the Army Standing Committee of the House should be mandated to investigate the rationale behind the establishment of super camp and withdrawals of military bases or military based along major roads in the state. I was the one that moved that motion and it was carried. I went to Damboa on Tuesday, together with the current Minister of Labor, that is State Minister, Honorable Festus Keyamo, SAN, and the Director General of NDE and the Governor himself, under heavy security situation. We went to Damboa. I've been going to Damboa for almost a decade today. And along the road, particularly when Boko Haram started, because I was a member of the State House of Assembly by then, there were series of military formations along the road. But by the time I went there on Tuesday, I was so scared in the sense that all these military formations I used to see or I used to know on that road. It's not checkpoint, military formation.
Okay.
The whole battalion, they put them in one location. They have the equipment, they have everything, waiting for Boko Haram to be repelled. And if they have 1 or 2 operations to do, they will go and do it. But none of these military formations or none of these military checkpoints, so to say, is there. And you have a thick forest. You know, from southern part of the state, it's not a desert. It's more or less a basement formation. So you have some trees. So if not because we are with heavy security cover, I don't think I can use that road any longer. But withdrawal of military troops in various military formations along major roads in the state, I think is the major contributing factor for this sporadic attack, particularly between late last year and early this year. I see no reason why you can withdraw troops that are doing their job on the major roads and bringing them back to what you call super camp.
Where are the super camps located?
The super camps are located basically, or in most cases, in some local government headquarters. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you in a nutshell, between Maiduguri to Damboa is about 100 kilometers. It's about 100 kilometers. But from Maiduguri up to Damboa, you will not see military formation. You only see patrol of military. They call it picketing. They will deploy them in the morning and they will withdraw them in the evening. They call them picketing. And to my dismay, in every picketing point, you only see 1 gun truck and some soldiers, maybe 10 or 15 soldiers. Doing the picket, they call it picketing. I don't know what they mean by picketing. And they withdraw them in the evening, thereby exposing. In fact, by the time they started this issue of super camp, to me and to most of my constituents, it was a deliberate attempt by the Nigerian army to shield themselves from Boko Haram attack, thereby exposing innocent civilians to Boko Haram attack. To me,
That's how you read it?
This is how I read it.
Well, just a couple of weeks ago, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, the United Nations and the European Union came together to do a press conference. At that conference, I think the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs was also present, where they talked about the rising humanitarian concerns in Maiduguri. They talked about increasing attacks on aid workers. They talked about increasing attacks on the civilian populace as well. And in that conference, they also they asked the federal government to seek a political solution to put an end to the crisis.
Yes.
Is it something that the political elite in Borno State are looking at? Because this crisis now has gone on for over a decade, and people are wondering, will we ever win this war? If right now we're experiencing a resurgence, I think even the governor said as much, we seem to be experiencing resurgence, and he called for a change of tactic. What other change of tactic are you looking at, and what political solutions are possible?
I can only talk about political solution in areas of having another hands to try their own best in this fight against insurgency. When these service chiefs came in 2015, to be precise in July, they came with vigor, with commitment, with force to end this crisis. Everybody was celebrating them. And actually, to the best of my knowledge, and to be fair to them, they have done their best. They have done their best in the sense that when they came in, virtually about 22 or 20 local governments out of 27 local governments in Borno State were under the occupation of Boko Haram, particularly their local government headquarters. But they have succeeded in recovering these local government headquarters, at least about 18 or 19. The only 2 local governments, I think now, that is not, the headquarters is still not under the occupation of the Nigerian army, maybe is Abadam, and to some extent, Marte local government. So to the best of my knowledge, they have done their best. But you know, Maupe, as you are working, for instance, now in Channel Star, if you are a newscaster and you have been there for 20 years, the work will somehow become something else in the sense that you don't even derive satisfaction as far as the job is concerned, because it's fixation. You are fixed to do that particular job. Another thing, when they came in with the vigor. Some people are saying they are doing their best so that they can reach the self-actualization stage of every military man, maybe to become the chief of defense staff. So there was thinking that they are doing this for them to struggle. But now they realize that chances of them being a chief of defense staff is very limited, bearing in mind they have overstayed in their present, positions. So what we are saying is, let them voluntarily resign and allow some soldiers to come in with new ideas.
I'm reading this. This is attributed to the Chief of Army Staff. Buratai, police, not military, are responsible for internal security, says removing service chiefs won't end terrorism.
So, I don't know. We are not saying...
I mean, it would seem that all the solution that we have provided so far will be about the service chiefs.
Yes.
Yeah, well, some people might say that, there might be a point there, that perhaps the law of diminishing returns is setting in. But is it only about the service chiefs? That's the question to ask. Is it only about the service chiefs, or are there structures, that ought to have been put in place but seem to be failing? Shouldn't we be looking further than the service chiefs?
The reason why most people are calling for the replacement of the service chiefs are because of their courses under them. Ambition of every academician is to become a professor. Ambition of every military man is to become either chief of army staff or chief of defense staff. And there are courses under these people. And people that are occupying these courses or people that are representing these causes equally have ambition.
Or you think it could be affecting the morale of those underneath them as well?
On a serious note, Maupe, it's just like in a situation whereby in an academia, only 2 people will be promoted to senior lecturer in every year. And you allow some people to be there for 4.5 years. And if they are not there, if they are there, there is no way one can be promoted. So you will not even have the zeal or the commitment or the stimulation to perform, because you know your promotion is being stagnated. It's just like you are a deputy director, and in your quarter system, in the quarter system of your state, of your country, in your state, you have somebody that is a permanent secretary, and he refused to go, and there's no way you can be promoted to a permanent secretary level, so you will be demoralized to work. You will be demoralized to perform, because as far as you are concerned, your ambition is ended there as director. So this is the simple analysis. There is a grumbling in the Nigerian military, left, right, center, that they equally want to be there.
So are they deliberately then sabotaging the security situation?
We are not saying they are
as a form of protest?
We are not saying they are sabotaging. But what we are saying is they will not be stimulated to work. They will not be encouraged to work.
Well, I did manage to, Channels Television did manage to catch Governor Zulum at an event, Nigerian Defense College event. And we posed to him the question of what a political solution will be. And he talked about negotiating with the terrorists. That some people, so far so good, it was saying that we have had, some people surrender their arms. Some of them have been, what's the word to use now? They have been rehabilitated. They have even been released to society. Some people have found that very controversial. But more and more people think that it is time we negotiated with the terrorists. What would the basis of these negotiations be? What are your thoughts on that?
As far as I'm concerned, there is no way you can negotiate with a terrorist. You have to confront them. That's the truth of the matter. You have to take the battle to their doorsteps. You cannot be sitting down in a super camp, cycled or surrounded yourself with a, what do they call it, excavated
bunker,
waiting for them to come and attack you so that you can repel them. On pages of every newspaper, in both print and electronic media, you see that military repelled Boko Haram attack. We have never had that military succeeded in dislodging Boko Haram camp.
But we see that every now and again from the Air Force that shows us pictures of when they're going to go and shoot or dispel them from their camps. They tell us about suspected Boko Haram terrorists grouping somewhere, and they went to neutralize that particular hideout. You haven't seen those shots?
No, I have been hearing it, that they dislodged this, they dislodged that. Have you ever been to Maiduguri?
Sadly, no.
Well, unfortunately. If you went to Maiduguri, maybe using any of the conventional aircraft, as you are trying to do the initial descent, because of the desert nature of Borno, you can virtually see everything that is on ground. Even a moving object, just like a vehicle, you can see it. A motorcycle, you can see it. You can even see an individual moving at your final descent stage. This is using a conventional aircraft. And this type of aircraft they are using, or this kind of fighter jets they are using, they are sophisticated with communication gadgets, with sighting gadgets, for them to be able to identify no matter how tiny a moving object is on the ground. So if we are going to tell each other the truth, I see no reason why these guys can hide. Because you virtually see everything. Because substantial part of Borno State is a desert. It's not south-south, it's not southeast. If you go to south-south before you land, there is no way you can see anything on the ground, because the bushy nature of, I can say, the thick forest nature of that particular area. But in our place, it's desert. I want you to have a try. If you go there, you will be surprised, because you that is not even trained to sight an object moving, you can see something is moving because it's an open land.
Let's go to Lagos now. I believe that my colleagues have questions for you. Gentlemen.
Oh, yes, Honorable Jaha. Well, I'd like you to just listen to this And let's get your thoughts on this.
We made several attempts for Nigerian military to establish their unit in Auno. They are in Auno, but as soon as it is 5 o'clock, they close the gate, they lock people, and they will go back to Maiduguri. That is what has happened. No, that's right. That is right. So you can just tell us something. If you are willing to establish your unit in Auno, fine. If you cannot establish your unit in Auno, the unit has already been established. But as soon as it is 5 o'clock, 4:30, they will withdraw back. You can tell your army personnel to relocate to Auno, remain in their checking point, and then man the gate. Then we can now tell to the community to now come back and then stay. If not, you can tell also that the state government can do something. It's never possible for us to stay like that. Look at the more than 30 lives were lost here. That was what we said, what was told to me by the populace.
Okay, well, actually, the point where the governor has spoken about how many people were involved, how many lives were lost, the army then disagree there. But you relate with the army, you're a member of that committee on army. And from this clip, it does appear as though there's frustration. We hear it from your voice, correct us if we're wrong. You've heard the governor there as well. It looks as though it's us against them, those who are supposed to be fighting, prosecuting this war against insurgency. Do you get a sense that some people somewhere are frustrating some efforts to address the main issues of fighting Boko Haram?
No, actually, Chamberlain, what actually caused this thing is nothing other than the establishment of super camp, as well as withdrawal of army troops along major roads in the state. To the best of my knowledge, this is why we have this series of attacks, particularly end of last year and the beginning of this year. A withdrawal in the sense that, let me give you an example. What the governor was saying, he was right. In fact, actually, I was there. But the only thing, maybe you were not able to capture me there. What actually happened? There was an instruction by the military to close gates coming into Maiduguri by 5 p.m. And mind you, the curfew in Maiduguri is between 10:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. But they will close the gate by 5 p.m. And in this case, from information, they closed the gate 15 minutes preceding the stipulated time for the closing of that particular gate. Unfortunately, at the same time, they left the place, thereby leaving the passengers or the commuters stranded under no any security cover. So these insurgents took advantage of such a situation and attacked the stranded commuters trying to come into Maiduguri. Unfortunately, you have seen what they have caused, which is very pathetic. And I don't want you to even look at the number of vehicles on fire. My great dismay is that they must have evacuated food items in these trucks and take it to the bush. And from the information we received, they even abducted about 3 vehicles and took them into the bush, which is very pathetic. So as far as I'm concerned, military should understand that without the presence of military in this military formation as it used to be, they will be taking advantage of civilians that have no cover on that road. Another thing.
Sorry, we're almost out of time. I'm just going to ask you quickly, when is the investigation going to start on the military super camps?
Immediately, because the matter has been referred to House Committee on Army.
When should we expect a report from the House Committee on Army?
I can't tell exactly. I'm just a member of the committee. I will be participating in the investigation. But for me to say this is when we are going to make our report available, I don't think I will be doing justice to the committee, because I'm not the only member of the committee.
Okay. Well, we'll have to leave it there. Hopefully, we believe that if we have further need to have a conversation of this, you would oblige us with your time. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Honorable Amadou Jaha is a member of the House Committee on the Army. He represents Chibok, Damboa, and Goza communities in Borno State. Sunrise Daily continues in a moment. Please stay with us.